Exposed. My incredible journey after my daughter demanded my beach house for her honeymoon. Mike Dawson took a deep breath, the salty air steeping him in nostalgia. The waves of Cape May crashed like restless ghosts, reminding him of summers spent with his father. Laughter spilling over the sandy shore, barbecues blooming. And now, as he stood in the shop filled with tools and grease, everything felt like it was about to slip through his fingers. His daughter, Lily, with her dreams and aspirations wrapped tightly around her heart, just dropped a bombshell. "Dad, I want to use the beach house for my honeymoon." That sacred place, the one his father built corner by corner, was suddenly an altar for a life he didn't recognize. He stared at her, the excitement gleaming in her eyes, and felt a pang of unease insert itself deep within. This wasn't a mere request, it was a struggle for identity, for belonging. The thought sent tremors through his body. It felt like being caught in the undertow. Mike leaned against the workbench, the familiar scent of motor oil mingling uncomfortably with the growing realization that the values he imparted to Lily were not enough to hold back the tide of wealth that her fiancé's family embodied. It was never about money for him. It was the love imbued in every beam of the beach house, the roots extending deep into the sand that provided a refuge. But their judgmental stares and thinly veiled comments about his humble lifestyle tormented him. Doubt crept in. Were they judging them? Were his efforts worth less than their affluence? Caught in the throes of concern, Mike felt the walls closing in. What if this was the beginning of her slipping away? He remembered teaching her that families worth isn't branded by the cars they drive or the homes they own. Yet, how could he embrace these values when she seemed adamant on choosing a glamorous path? He hesitated, a swirl of regret and desperation beginning to drown him. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. When he stumbled upon the hidden letter from his father, tucked away in the attic's shadows, it felt like destiny had intervened. Each word transported him across the years, soft whispers filling the silence of the present. His father's legacy, a family secret that tethered them together in a way Mike never anticipated, set his thoughts spiraling. He was learning that wealth was not defined by money but by loyalty, honor, and responsibility. As his heart raced, Mike could feel the unease bubbling over into sheer panic. The weight of the future pressed on him, forcing him to confront his next move with Lily. Breathing irregularly, a sense of urgency swallowed him whole. Would revealing the letter change their dynamic, or would it merely amplify the chasm that had crept between them? In that moment, as the sun dipped beyond the horizon leaving nothing but shadows behind, Mike knew he would have to face her. He had come to a crossroads, uncertain of what kind of father he wished to be. The stakes grew higher, intensifying the suffocating pressure. How could he reconcile love and legacy? The uncertainty loomed heavy, leaving him yourself grappling with something far larger than the simple question of a beach house. The morning light filtered through the dusty windows of his shop, illuminating the dust motes swirling like thoughts of indecision in Mike's mind. He was standing amidst tools that, in their own way, told the story of his life, each wrench, saw, and hammer a testament to his craftsmanship and determination. But today, they felt inadequate, mere relics of a past that seemed to slip from his grasp. His heart pounded as he replayed the conversation with Lily over and over. The way her voice had radiated excitement felt like a foreign language in sharp contrast to the fear that had taken root in his chest. He needed to reclaim his narrative, to redefine what this beach house meant to not just himself, but to Lily as well. No longer could he sit back and allow external pressures to dictate his worth or his family's legacy. Mike's instincts kicked in. Perhaps it was time to do what he had always taught his daughter, to stand firm against the tides of life. He picked up a paintbrush, his hands steadying as he soaked it in a pot of beach house blue. With every stroke, he envisioned the walls of the cherished space where generations had gathered, a canvas that depicted not just memories but potential. He would create a living testament to their family's values, the strong foundations built by love, hard work and sacrifice. As the paint glided across the surface, he found clarity amidst the chaos. There was a real struggle for identity here, not just for Lily, but for him. It wasn't enough to merely resist the wealth that surrounded her. He had to actively engage her with the history that shaped them. It was time to revitalize the values embedded in the walls of that house, to breathe new life into lessons of resilience and character. With renewed purpose, Mike called Lily. She arrived in a flurry, still buzzing from wedding plans, her aura bright and unfiltered. "Dad, what's up?" she asked, her smile both reassuring and unsettling. "You need to see something," he said, leading her to the beach house. Anxiety knotted in his stomach with every step they took along the path that felt far too familiar, and yet perilously alien. When they reached the door, Mike hesitated. The house had been a sanctuary, and he feared revealing his recent discoveries would either bridge their drifting connection or push them further apart. He took a deep breath and brightened his voice. "There's something I've been working on." As they entered, the smell of fresh paint wafted through the air. Lily took in the transformation, her brows knitting together in questioning surprise. "Wow, Dad, it looks amazing." She stepped further in, absorbing the changes. The house felt alive, filled with possibilities. "Lily, there's a legacy here," he began, searching for the right words. "A story woven into this place. It's not about grand houses or big names. It's about heart and what we mean to each other." Lily's expression softened, a flicker of understanding crossing her face. "I get it, Dad, but..." Before she could finish, Mike took a deep breath again, his heart racing. It was his chance. "There's also something you don't know about this place." He motioned for her to join him at the window overlooking the beach. As the waves crashed against the shore, something inside Mike ignited. He felt the weight of legacy pushing him to be honest. "I found a letter from your grandfather. It explains his vision for this house and our family." Lily's eyes widened with curiosity, and what began as a light-hearted optimism shifted into intense focus. "What does it say?" "That it's always been about more than the house, more than a honeymoon. It's about what we build with each other together." The distance between them began to blur, but with it arose another tension. How much of their lives had been shaped by external validation? Would she embrace this legacy, or was it too late? The raw truth drove through Mike, forcing him to confront something deeper. His own fear of losing her to the allure of wealth. The reality hung in the air, the words poised to spill forth. Would this discovery bring them together or build new walls? And as the laughter and warmth from the past hovered around them, the possibilities of the future loomed darker than ever. What would Lily choose as they stood on the edge of revelation? Mike's heart raced as he finally managed to breach the delicate barrier that had formed between him and Lily. He felt a deep urge to delve further, to explore the depths of their connection while grappling with his own fears of inadequacy. The revelation hung heavily in the air. The letter from his father lingered like an echo, filling the silence with unspoken words. "Dad, I don't understand. What exactly did you find?" Lily's brow furrowed, her youthful energy replaced by a curious intensity. "It was more than just plans or memories," Mike replied, steeling himself against doubt. "Your grandfather wrote about the importance of this house, how it represented boundless love, resilience, and family unity. He believed that materialism could never substitute what true family means." Lily crossed her arms, absorbing his words like the late afternoon sun filtering through the windows. "But wealth has always been part of our lives. Can't we balance both? What if I want the honeymoon that I envision? Aren't I allowed that?" As she spoke, the wall of disconnection began to thicken once again. "What your grandfather wanted, what I want is for you to find happiness that's rooted in something deeper." As he articulated his thoughts, Mike fought against the sense of betrayal swirling inside him. The vibrant hues of blue paint he had applied that day began to symbolize more than just aesthetic change. They embodied the courageous stand he was trying to take for both of them. He walked over to the window and gestured toward the horizon. "This house isn't just wood or brick. It's the stories woven into every single nail. When I was young, I learned craftsmanship wasn't just about making things, it was about honoring the past while building something that lasts. You have that gift too." Mike had hoped to inspire Lily to dig deeper, to reevaluate her own desires against the backdrop of their family legacy, but a shadow crossed her face. You don't get it, do you? This isn't a discussion about tools or construction. I'm not asking you to understand my dream. I just want you to be okay with me wanting a beautiful future. Frustration churned within him. Was he being unreasonable? Did his attempts to protect her seem like an affront to her aspirations? He realized there was truth to her words. Luxury and ambition were alluring and could easily seduce anyone. Was he merely pushing back out of fear? This could not be just another idle confrontation. They needed real answers. It was time to invite honesty, however painful. Okay, Lily, let us not shy away from this. What do you truly want? What makes you feel whole? The question hung heavily in the air, challenging her to confront her ambitions head-on. She shifted uncomfortably, her defenses softened by the vulnerability in his voice. I want to show everyone that I'm capable of creating something beautiful for myself. I love this house. I love everything it stands for. But I also want to carve my own path, she admitted, the words spilling out amidst a blend of hope and hesitance. Mike processed her revelations, and within him stirred new realizations. He needed to celebrate her individuality, while holding on to the family values that had shaped them both. Then let us collaborate. Let's turn this into something new that can encompass everything: your dreams and our legacy. It's not one or the other. It's about blending both into a future we can cherish. He could see a spark in her eyes, and for a fleeting moment, a sense of relief washed over him. But then shadows of doubt crept back in, enveloping his thoughts. But how? How do we merge these worlds without losing sight of what really matters? He pondered internally, grappling with the balance between past and present. In that moment of precarious uncertainty, Mike felt the weight of transformation, ready to embrace the journey ahead. The house, now represented more than memories. They stood as a testament to their continuing evolution together. What path would lead them both to discovery and acceptance against societal expectations? The answer remained shrouded in mystery as they stood on the brink of a new chapter, ready to explore what lay beyond those painted walls. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting golden light across the sparsely furnished living room, Mike felt an urgency pulse through him. The conversation with Lily had ignited feelings buried beneath years of complacency, forcing him to confront his apprehensions not only about their relationship, but also about his vision for the future. An inner fire flickered, begging for attention, making him realize he couldn't merely stand by and watch the legacy of love erode under financial ambitions. Determined to find a way forward, Mike turned back to Lily, who was now staring out of the same window he had just occupied. We need a plan, he stated with newfound conviction, the words spilling forth without restraint. Not just with the house, but in how we see our lives unfolding. Lily turned her head slightly, curiosity etched on her face. What did you have in mind? It was a question that cut through the remnants of fear tethering him to the past. Let us start with this house. We can create spaces here that resonate with both of us. Things that represent our shared family values and your dreams. What if we developed a blueprint together? For a moment, Lily simply blinked. Mike could see the wheels turning in her mind, the prospect of co-creating something with him slowly morphing from skepticism into intrigue. There are so many styles I want to incorporate, she said slowly, enthusiasm blossoming. Modern aesthetics mixed with cozy elements. It could reflect both of us. As they delved deeper into the conversation, a vision began to unfold. Mike could feel the exhilaration coursing through him, fueled by the thought of blending not just styles, but ideals, intertwining heritage with modern ambition. Let us identify what each section of the house will embody. We can use the living room to depict our roots, while maybe the master bedroom can be more daring and innovative, he suggested, channeling their energies into tangible action. Exactly. And the kitchen, I want it to be warm and inviting. A place where love can be shared, she interjected, her eyes shimmering with possibility. Word by word, their shared vision became a project. Each detail they brainstormed transformed into a small milestone, reshaping doubt into determination. With every suggestion exchanged, both of them felt the threads of their bond strengthen. Yet beneath the excitement lurked a more unsettling truth. Mike was acutely aware that their collaboration would test their endurance against outside pressures. Would society judge this new take on family values? The thoughts crept in like unwelcome shadows. Are you ready for this? He asked, glancing at Lily, whose radiance dimmed momentarily as she faced the question. I want to be. I have to be, she replied, biting her lip, the uncertainty creeping back into her voice. In that moment, Mike recognized that this journey wasn't merely about construction and aesthetics. It was about confronting their fears, navigating challenges together, and uncovering deeper aspects of their identities in a world that seemed demanding and unforgiving. I wonder how we'll be able to balance public expectations with our personal truths, Mike questioned, his internal struggle evident. I guess we'll find out, she replied, genuine strength embedded in her tone, and Mike took confidence from her insight. As dusk settled over the horizon, its rich colors swirling like the myriad ideas filling the room, Mike felt a shift within himself. He was no longer just a guardian of tradition, but a mentor helping to shape Lily's future, while finding his own path. Yet, doubt still lingered, whispering warnings about the shadows that could creep in when they least expected it. With a heart both anxious and eager, he realized they were on the precipice of unearthing something remarkable together. The weight of potential bore down on him, heavier than any tool in his workshop. What if their partnership didn't just redefine the house, but also challenge them to become more than they had ever imagined? This was the first step, but the road ahead would change everything. As they stood together, contemplating their plans, the flickering shadows swept through the room, hinting at obstacles yet to reveal themselves. But perhaps, just perhaps, they had what it would take to confront them head-on. The moment of truth awaited as they prepared to navigate the intertwining paths of legacy and ambition, unraveling the intricate tapestry of their identities. Would they thrive or crumble beneath the pressure? The answer lay ahead, just beyond the veil of their dreams. The next morning, sunlight spilled into the room, illuminating the notes they pinned to the walls, ideas, sketches, and half-formed dreams that vibrated with possibility. Mike surveyed the budding chaos with a sense of purpose. The preceding evening had transformed his inertia into action, igniting pathways of creativity that he had long suppressed. But how sustainable was this newfound resolve? Questions began to proliferate, their whispers emboldening his inner critic. Had he declared their ambitions too soon? Was he capable of orchestrating this meaningful change without losing sight of the practicality that shaped his life thus far? The logic rooted deep in his profession as a carpenter reminded him of a fundamental rule. Every structure required a solid foundation. He decided to start small, focusing on practical steps to fortify their ambitious plans. Lily, he called out as he made his way into the kitchen, where she was crafting breakfast. We need a timeline for our project. Let us chalk out some milestones. When can we begin mapping out spaces? Lily turned, her hair glinting in the morning light, a quiet determination reflected in her eyes. How about we designate weekends to brainstorm? That way we'll keep the energy alive outside of the everyday distractions. Nodding, Mike felt a rush of appreciation for her. The shared vision was beginning to crystallize. It brought clarity to the clutter of uncertainty. But success demanded more than passion. It required commitment and resilience, traits Mike had occasionally overlooked in his previous sporadic attempts at growth. They outlined their goals, assigning specific roles that merged their strengths. It was a balance of responsibilities that extended beyond the home, allowing Mike a chance to witness Lily's burgeoning capabilities. With every action assessed and curated, he found himself astonished yet invigorated by her insight. It was a revelation that ignited a sense of pride and inkling that beside him stood a partner, not merely a collaborator. As they mapped out their objectives, Mike caught himself questioning the broader implications of their project. Each decision illuminated not just a desire for a well-designed house, but a manifesto of their evolving identities. They were, after all, creating a refuge against societal expectations, a sanctuary that embodied their ethos of family. However, shadows loomed in the corners of his mind. What would happen if their vision contradicted tradition? What if their project sparked criticism from family, friends, or worse, a disconnect that rippled through their relationships? He tentatively raised the concern. What if we don't meet expectations? There are a lot of people who might think differently about what we're doing, Mike. The firm tone in Lily's voice cut through the fog of his doubts. What truly matters is that we're being true to ourselves. This house needs to resonate with our dreams, not the opinions of others. The firmness in her words settled an uneasy stirring in his chest. Standing there, absorbing her conviction, Mike realized that being authentic required courage. It was a journey fraught with the potential for judgment, but also one filled with the chance to foster real connections, ones built on honesty, instead of the facades often erected in fear of disapproval. Though confidence surged from their partnership, the looming trepidation still weighed heavily on him. They had the plan, the energy, and the vision, but would they truly be ready to dismantle the walls erected by expectations to build something anew? The layers of complexity unfolded like the blueprints they had begun to draft, each line a reminder of the intricacies at play. As the spaces in the house began to morph from concept to reality, Mike wondered if the greater task lay in transcending the boundaries set by the world outside. With daunting anticipation, he stood on the cusp of an exhilarating yet unnerving transformation. The real challenge was coming, and his inner critic was restless, demanding clarity amid potential ambiguity. As they delved deeper into their plans, Mike asked the question that lingered in the air, echoing with unresolved tension. What if, despite our best efforts, we failed to redefine our dreams? The look in Lily's eyes spoke volumes. The shared challenge might very well be the catalyst that forged their true selves. Would they emerge from their creative endeavor triumphantly altered? Or would they find themselves ensnared in the very expectations they sought to escape? Each moment felt pregnant with raw potential, yet fraught with uncertainty. The interplay between fear and aspiration danced just beneath the surface, ready to reveal itself in ways neither of them could yet understand. As the weekend approached, the excitement of their shared vision simmered just beneath the surface. Mike's mind buzzed with possibilities, but as he stood before a wall plastered with their plans, an undercurrent of anxiety gnawed at him. The designs, the drawings, and blueprints they collaborated on had morphed into something more than just walls and roofs. They were becoming an embodiment of who they were aiming to be. Yet, within that vibrant creation lay a looming fear. What if their endeavor became a battleground for judgment? When Saturday dawned, they gathered in their makeshift studio, the living room transformed by sketches and ideas. Each item they pinned to the walls now felt like a challenge issued not just to the world, but to themselves. Mike couldn't shake the feeling that as they drafted plans for a new home, they were doing much more, striving to create a new narrative for their lives. Let us start with the heart of the house, the living space, Lily suggested, her enthusiasm contagious. She traced her finger along a sketch of an open concept area that flowed seamlessly into the kitchen. Mike admired her passion, envious of the confidence she carried effortlessly. While Lily saw only dreams, he could see pitfalls, the angles of potential rejection. This dance between aspiration and doubt was becoming exhausting. Lily, he hesitated, what if we focus too much on this house and lose what makes us, well, us? What if we forget the fundamentals in pursuit of this dream? His voice strained with a mix of worry and a desire for clarity. With an unwavering gaze, she responded, we have to trust that our foundation, our values will guide our design. Just like in carpentry, it's about the corners we set right. Her metaphor resonated within him. Could they build something that mirrored their aspirations without losing sight of their core? This thought lingered, a flicker of hope that started to illuminate the shadows of apprehension clouding his mind. He realized he had consistently underestimated his ability to adapt and innovate, traits that had propelled him as a carpenter. As the conversation directed toward details like materials and textures, Mike felt empowered by the joint perspective they maintained. However, beneath the surface, he sensed the impending confrontation with his fears. Were the tangible materials they discussed reflective of their internal growth? Leaning back in his chair, he contemplated this. Could he embrace the risk of vulnerability? Creating this house meant revealing parts of themselves to an outside world that thrived on expectations. It forced him to confront long-held beliefs about failure. What if the judgment he anticipated never came? What if their shared love and tenacity could conquer those fears? His thoughts flitted between optimism and doubt as Lily flipped through pages of design options. For the first time, he began to see the possibilities linked to their aspirations rather than just the consequences of their decisions. A surge of realization struck him. His previous endeavors had never felt this empowering. "Let us establish a bold theme," Mike proposed, surprised by the enthusiasm in his own voice. "We can make this not just a house but a reflection of who we are, simple yet profound, functional yet beautiful." Lily's eyes widened, a spark igniting them brighter than before. "Exactly. And you know what? We can incorporate elements that tell our story." The conversation morphed into laughter and excitement, their ideas expanding into details about art and memories, crafting a sanctuary narrating their journey together. But just as they built momentum, doubts crept back. The nagging question of societal acceptance loomed, ready to shatter their fragile optimism. Could they truly silence the inner critic, the voices of others? Were they ready to entertain the thought of unveiling their dream for scrutiny? The prospect of such exposure felt like playing with fire. In that moment, standing on the cusp of reinvention, Mike resolved to challenge that fear head-on, ready to dig deeper into his capacity for creativity. The foundation was being laid not just in beams and nails, but in bravery. As they plotted their next steps, one question solidified in his mind. Could they bridge the gap between vulnerability and authenticity without losing themselves? And as their ideas transformed, Mike could feel an impending moment of truth lingering in the air. Would they be prepared to fully expose their artistry to the world, and, in doing so, redefine their identities forever? The morning light streamed through the window, showcasing the array of sketches and materials sprawled across their living room floor. Mike awoke with a sense of urgency, as if the day ahead bore the weight of their future. He understood that the decisions made in the next few weeks would profoundly impact not only their project but their lives. The dream was no longer an abstract concept. It was becoming an imminent reality. After breakfast, he found himself standing alone amidst the remnants of their design discussions, tracing the outline of their work with his eyes. The plans represented something fundamental, an opportunity to redefine not just their living space, but their lives together. And yet, looming fear was a shadow he couldn't shake off. Was he truly prepared to present themselves in such a raw, unguarded way to the world? Amidst the sketches, a particular image caught his eye, a rendering of a gathering space adorned with relics and artwork indicative of their story. He suddenly felt a stirring within. He threw himself into thought, contemplating how this space could encapsulate not just their shared past, but also lay the foundation for their future together. Maybe it's about more than just decisions, he mused, jotting down ideas in his notebook. Maybe it's about crafting a narrative that's genuine, even flawed. But that internal dialogue brushed past another stark realization. Were they brave enough to display their vulnerabilities? By the time Lily returned, Mike had sketched out an idea. What if we made the living space a visual diary of our experiences? A place where every item evokes a memory, whether joyful or challenging. He could feel the eagerness building inside him. Lily raised her eyebrows, intrigued. That could work, but it also opens a door to our pasts. Are you ready to wrestle with those memories? Maybe not ready, he admitted, but I think it's necessary. Those memories shaped us. They could ground us in authenticity. And if that invites judgment, so be it. A flicker of anxiety crossed Lily's face, revealing the silent battle she fought with her own fears. What if our choices don't resonate with others? What if we end up discarded? The vulnerability in her voice cut deep, fueling the tension building within Mike. It might happen, but this is our story. We need to own it. Suddenly, he felt a surge of determination wash over him. Perhaps facing potential criticism would allow him to confront the nagging voice of doubt that had haunted him throughout his career. As they built upon Mike's vision, their dialogue became increasingly fluid and animated. They debated colors, textures, and pieces of art that could embody the highs and lows of their journey, each decision a stepping stone toward a more profound understanding of themselves. With every shared idea, the initial anxiety began to transform into a kindling of creative courage. However, as they delved deeper into the heart of the living space, Mike couldn't escape the undercurrent of fear. What if their vulnerability was met with disdain? He could visualize the energy pulsing in this newly crafted room. But he also saw potential rejection gnawing away at its foundation. Do you think we can bear to expose ourselves to such scrutiny? He questioned, looking at Lily, the moments of raw honesty dawning on him through her thoughtful expression. "We'll never know if we don't take this leap," she replied steadily, determination threading through her words. "The only way to find out is to build our vision, flaws and all." For the first time, Mike felt an inkling of optimism outshine his fears. In acknowledging their vulnerabilities, they might just discover the fortitude that lay beneath. This would not merely be a home. It would tell the world that they were not afraid to show their truth, however imperfect it may be. Yet in that camaraderie and newfound clarity, Mike could still hear that persistent question echoing in the back of his mind. Would this bold step truly liberate them? Or would it shatter the fragile construct of self they fought to uphold? As they finalized their designs that evening, the uncertainty remained palpable. Yet Mike felt a sense of power in facing it. But as they stood before the sketches, gripped with anticipation and fear, the realization hit him hard. He had only begun to scratch the surface of what was needed to truly embrace the transformation they sought. With a collective decision in the air, Mike sensed the next phase of their journey beckoning. What secrets would be unearthed as they pressed forward into the unknown? The morning sun broke through the curtains, casting patterns across the sketches that had become their lifeline. Mike rubbed the sleep from his eyes, rubbing his temples, a fresh wave of anxiety crashing over him. Today his designs would become more than mere concepts. They would transform into tangible elements of their lives, laying bare not just their ambitions but their fears. Drawing a deep breath, he sank into the chair in front of their table, littered with drawings and notes. The previous day's conversations echoed in his mind, the possibility of vulnerability juxtaposed with the fear of exposure. They were at a precipice, and he knew that birth of creativity often came from confronting discomfort. Setting aside doubt, he grabbed a fresh sheet of paper and started working through his thoughts, jotting down goals for the day. "Today is about action," he muttered to himself. Each word felt like a small blow against the encroaching feelings of inadequacy. Understanding that they could lovingly curate their life story through their living space provided Mike with clarity. The melding of their tastes, experiences, and commitments needed to reflect genuine totality. But as he focused on execution, hesitation resurfaced. As the sketches took form, he envisioned the emotional imprint they would leave not just on him and Lily, but on anyone stepping into this space. What if it didn't resonate? What if their story was met with indifference? Those potential scenarios loomed ominously, their shadows growing longer as he flipped through his pages. This battle wasn't just about a design, it was the embodiment of his life's work. Lily entered with a coffee and a tentative smile. "How's it going?" she inquired, leaning over to peek at his sketches. He attempted to muster enthusiasm, offering insights about the color palettes he selected. Yet uncertainty clung to his words, creating a rift in his normally bubbling enthusiasm. "I'm trying to capture what we've discussed, the essence of us, but it feels insubstantial. What if we're too vulnerable?" "Trust the process," she replied, her voice steady but laced with her own hint of apprehension. "It's about confirming our existence, not finding perfection." Her words wounded yet healed him simultaneously, an ironic twist of personal growth. "I know that, but the fear of judgment. Mike, creating this space isn't just about others. It's about us. Describe our journey through this room." Her challenge sparked a flame within him. They had always encapsulated moments in their lives through art, but this was uniquely different. It transcended aesthetics. It was purpose. Despite a lingering discomfort, he dug deeper into memory to extract stories that would guide his choices. They began selecting elements that weren't just beautiful but deeply meaningful. A faded beach towel from their first vacation together. A rustic bookshelf filled with books they had read as a couple. Each piece invoked warmth and emotion, and with that warmth came strength. As they worked side by side, the dialogue evolved into collaboration, and laughter came easier. The anxiety seemed to dissipate with every shared memory as they wedged pieces of themselves into the layout. The morning turned into the afternoon, and each new item found its place as if the universe were aligning the steps to their journey. Yet, like clockwork, his mind flared again, this time with a sense of urgency. Were these choices still authentic? Were they merely following sentimental values rather than true artistic expression? He paused, needing to confront the underlying unease. What if we end up stuck in nostalgia? Are we curating a space? Or are we just trapped in a memory? Lily's brow furrowed with concern. That's one perspective, but I think it's vital to ground ourselves in our past. Acknowledging where we come from can function as a firm foundation for where we're going. Her patience steadied him amidst rising doubt. But sometimes memories can be suffocating. Yet beneath the turbulence was a flicker of inspiration, perhaps the way forward. Lay in accepting the ghosts of their past while forging a fresh path. In that realization, the contradiction within him simmered down, catalyzing movement rather than immobilizing it. They could layer their vulnerabilities with strength. They just had to be committed to the outcome. They had to accept their failures and successes, entwining the entirety of their journey into the fabric of their new environment. As dusk fell, Mike felt a surge of lightness. Clarity was emerging from chaos. They were inching closer not just to their tangible designs, but also to understanding themselves better. Yet as excitement mingled with fatigue, a pressing question emerged, lingering in the shadows. Could they truly reconcile their past with the future, or would the pressure of family expectations destroy their fragile dreams? A fresh wave of uncertainty flooded in, leaving Mike halt before the sketches, awash with possibilities as day slipped into night. What lay ahead was still veiled in uncertainty, but as he gazed at the swirling mix of colors and stories beginning to take form, he felt an inexorable pull toward uncovering the next chapter of their journey, a journey intertwined with trials, tribulations, and perhaps triumph. The following morning, a sense of dread surfaced as Mike awoke. Sunlight streamed through the window, illuminating the sketches that had brought him invigorating joy the previous day. Today, however, they felt like chains heavy, tethering him to past choices. It struck him anew that each design represented a moment where he chose vulnerability intentionally, casting aside the armor he often donned for the world. But what if he couldn't bear that rawness anymore? He washed his face, examining the reflection staring back. This wasn't just about creating a home. It was about claiming a space that embodied their dreams, their essence. The stakes felt impossibly high. As they prepared for the day, he sensed a shift, an almost tangible tension in the air. Thoughts of family expectations weighed heavily on his mind. What if Lily had envisioned this new chapter differently? What if his artistic road diverged into ruin? They sat down again at their table. It was covered in remains of torn sketches, color swatches, and coffee rings, a chaotic testament to their process. But today, that creativity bore a different kind of pressure. Mike couldn't shake the notion that they were on the brink of revealing more than intended. Their lives with all their messy contradictions were about to be put on display, not just for themselves but for the world. Hey, Lily's voice broke through his spiral of thoughts. Have you thought about what comes next? Next? He replied, his voice strained as he fumbled with a pencil. He knew they'd need to discuss deeper concepts, but dread drummed louder than anticipation. I think we need to integrate. I don't mean the designs, she retorted gently. I'm talking about after we finish. What's our vision? Beyond the sketches? I thought we'd enjoy the products of our labor, he mumbled, barely ready to confront the core of their aspirations. He felt as if he were clutching at wisps of smoke, fearful of what the air might reveal. Are we just designing a house, Mike? Or are we also mapping out our lives, dreams, the risk we're taking? She leaned in, and her eyes carried a simmering intensity that grounded him. The challenge hit home, igniting a critical decision point in him. This wasn't simply an aesthetic pursuit, it was emotional architecture. I think I'm scared. What if our story isn't enough? What if everyone critiques our choices? Most of what we perceive as enough lies in comparison. We have our journey. Let us define what enough means for us, she urged, offering him a supporting smile. Sighing deeply, Mike considered her words. They correctly navigated their history, but could they create an authentic future without the fetters of expectation? The memories around them became both comfort and prison, a dichotomy he was desperate to mend. Perhaps the designs don't just reflect our past, he thought out loud, racing against shaking doubt. They could symbolize our hopes. We could weave in aspirations, what we want to teach our future children about legacy or love, or there it is. Lily beamed, her excitement reigniting the spark that had dimmed in him. Our future. Our values. Let us make this space a home that tells a different story, Not just of who we were, but of who we want to become. The air felt charged with possibility. Mike jumped back into his sketches, inspired to interlace recycled materials that represented growth, new trees sprouting from their old roots, colorful murals narrating dreams, reflective pieces hinting at their evolving identity. As colors splashed across his pages, so too did a subtle tension in Mike's heart rise. Was this enough? By crafting a nurturing space, could they genuinely pave a road toward their envisioned future? Or was he still shackled by the ghosts of expectations? He ruminated over what lay ahead. The designs were emerging, imprinted with their essence, yet an unsettling reality lingered. With every stroke, they would be exposed vulnerable not just to their own critiques, but to the judgments of those they loved most. Just as confidence began to swell within him, echoes of family expectations throbbed anew. He sensed that unveiling the house would mean confronting not only themselves, but a lineage of values that may not mesh well with their vision. Would his desire for authenticity collide with familial pressure, threatening the very foundation they sought to build? As day faded into evening, Mike felt the urgency swell inside him. The next step in their journey was brewing, but he sensed that an impending struggle loomed on the horizon. Would they have the courage to face those who might oppose their dream? The sun rose over Cape May, casting a golden hue over the beach house that now stood at the heart of Mike's new reality. Gone were the days of uncertainty and self-doubt. He had committed to a profound transformation not only of the house but of himself. Today was the day he would unveil the completed vision he had painstakingly crafted with Lily. And in that moment, he felt both exhilaration and trepidation. Mike adjusted the last of the decor, ensuring everything reflected the harmonious blend of their family legacy and Lily's ambitious dreams. He stepped back, his heart swelling with pride. The living space told a story of his craftsmanship interwoven with her creativity. As he took in the vibrant hues and lifelike textures, he realized they had successfully created a sanctuary, a testament to resilience and love. "Dad." Lily's voice rang through the house, a mix of excitement and nervousness. "Are you ready?" He turned to face her, the momentousness of their journey reflected in her sparkling eyes. Looking at her, he recognized the weight of their shared experiences that had molded them into who they were: partners, creators, and dreamers. "Let us do this," he said, his voice steady, a culmination of the groundwork they had laid together. As they stepped outside to greet family and friends, Mike felt the thrill of authenticity coursing through him. This gathering was not merely about showcasing their hard work. It was an embrace of their journey, vulnerabilities and all. When the guests arrived, the house buzzed with laughter and curiosity. As everyone meandered through the space, Mike observed their reactions and realized no one recoiled from his choices. Instead, they smiled, embracing the warmth of the living area, the heart of the home he and Lily had designed. "Wow, it's stunning!" exclaimed his sister, examining the reclaimed materials that adorned the walls. "You really captured your family's essence." With that, a wave of relief washed over him. Their work resonated, not just with appealing aesthetics but with the authenticity they had fought so hard to cultivate. At that moment, he understood that the fears he carried had less power than the desire to be proud of their story. Lily grinned at him, her youthful vibrancy reflecting back the light he had once feared. "We've created more than a house, Dad. It's our legacy." As the evening unfolded, guests shared stories and memories connected to each room, reminders of both the past and an open door to the future. Mike noticed how laughter echoed through the walls, reverberating against its history. Their shared legacy was being celebrated, not diminished, and he realized transformation wasn't about eradicating old values, but rather reinforcing them within a new context. Yet, as the chatter faded to laughter, the final moments of reflection settled heavily in Mike's heart. He sought out a quiet corner with Lily, who perched along the edge of the beautifully designed staircase, hesitating to voice the final burdens still weighing on him. "Are you okay?" she asked, noticing the flicker of doubt in his eyes. "It's just, what if this isn't enough? What if we still face judgment after this?" His voice trembled with vulnerability, the remnants of fear still flickering beneath the surface. Lily tilted her head, a knowing smile punctuating her expression. "Dad, we've made something real here, something that encapsulates our journey. That's a victory, isn't it?" You taught me that being true to oneself is the greatest achievement. In her simple affirmation, Mike experienced a profound shift. It hit him that growth meant more than mere external approval. It meant accepting the imperfections and complexities of their story, one that intertwines with personal achievements and heartfelt truths. I'm proud of us, Lily, he declared, realization dawning with clarity. We've proven that family values can shape our vision, not restrict it. We've built more than walls. We've created a space filled with love, hard work, and a renewed connection. The transformation was palpable. Mike felt the surge of confidence solidify around him, a newfound competence bolstered by clarity of purpose. Those who surrounded them weren't just witnesses. They were allies in their journey toward self-affirmation, a collective celebration of a unique path forward. As the evening continued, friends and family poured into conversations, laughter intertwining with stories shared not merely as spectators, but as supporters of the legacy Mike and Lily had begun to forge together. Standing with Lily amidst friends and family, Mike recognized that transformation was not solely a solitary pursuit, but a shared experience of support and understanding. He looked around the room, feeling the significance of each bond, each memory being made this very moment. Their journey would carry on with these newfound connections, grounded not just in legacy but in deep-seated love, authenticity, and aspirations yet to unfold. Revisiting his reflections on success, Mike no longer measured it by societal expectations, but through meaningful actions that reminded him of the journey ahead. And with that profound realization, he had indeed achieved something spectacular. He had fostered an indelible bond with his daughter, and discovered a renewed identity alongside her. This was not the final chapter. It was merely the beginning of a deeply enriching story that intertwined familial values with personal ambition, a saga that would resonate far beyond the walls of their home. Now don't wait even one more second. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories that inspire transformation. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, and show your support for these journeys of overcoming challenges. Comment your reactions and theories about this transformative ending. We want to hear from you. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this powerful conclusion. It could be the inspiration they have been waiting for.